ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਨੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਾਖਲ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੰਖਿਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਡੇ ਵਾਧੇ ਲਈ ਯੋਜਨਾਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2025 ਤੱਕ ਹਰ ਸਾਲ 5 ਲੱਖ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਦਾ ਟੀਚਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਮਜ਼ਦੂਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੰਭੀਰ ਘਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸੀਨ ਫਰੇਜ਼ਰ ਨੇ ਨਵੀਂ ਯੋਜਨਾ ਦਾ ਖੁਲਾਸਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇਹ ਯੋਜਨਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਕ ਮੈਂਬਰਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਸ਼ਰਨਾਰਥੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਵਧੇਰੇ ਮਾਮੂਲੀ ਟੀਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਦੇ ਹੁਨਰ ਅਤੇ ਤਜਰਬੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਵਧੇਰੇ ਸਥਾਈ ਨਿਵਾਸੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਵੀਕਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ।
Before I begin, let me first acknowledge that we're gathered here on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And of course, these lands are now home to many First Nations, Inuit and Métis people. Look, folks, it's simple to me. Canada needs more people. Canadians understand the need to continue to grow our population if we're going to meet the needs of the labour force, if we're going to rebalance a worrying demographic trend, and if we're going to continue to reunite families and to do right by the world and make good on our commitments to support some of the world's most vulnerable. My view is that Canada is uniquely positioned in the world to use immigration to achieve these outcomes. You know, immigration in Canada is not just something that we do, it's who we are, it's who we've always been. With the exception of Indigenous peoples, every family in Canada has the opening chapter of their history include the story of a migrant. My family happened to show up about 250 years ago, and I live only 15 minutes away today from where those first vessels landed from Scotland on the shores of Nova Scotia. Sean, you shared that you're the son of an immigrant tradesperson. This is the story of Canada, folks, and it's going to continue to be the story of Canada. You know, some of our families have come a long time ago in search of economic opportunity. Others have come to be reunited with their loved ones. Others still may not have left their country of origin by choice, but needed to flee to escape violence, war, and persecution. And Canada has a long and proud tradition of maintaining open doors to people who seek to come here for whatever reason it may be. But immigration is not just about addressing labor shortages. It's also about correcting one of the demographic trends that worries me every day. And that's the fact that Canada has an aging population. If you rewind the clock 50 years, you'd see that Canada had 7 workers for every retired person. Today, that number's closer to 3. By 2035, on our current trajectory, it looks like that number's going to be 2. In my part of the country, Atlantic Canada, we're already pretty much there. 2 workers for every retired person. If we don't do something to correct this demographic trend, the conversation we're going to have 10 or 15 years from now won't be about labor shortages. It's going to be about whether we have the economic capacity to continue to fund schools and hospitals and public services that I think we too often take for granted. You know, if we don't address this challenge with more ambitious growth, we know what the outcome is going to be. But the good news is that the recent data that came out just last week from Statistics Canada demonstrates that we are on a better path. The last full year before our government assumed office was 2014. In that year, Canada welcomed 240,000 newcomers. This year, we are on pace to welcome 431,000 new permanent residents as part of our immigration plan. Right now, Canada is growing at a population that is nearly twice as fast as any other G7 economy. There's no question in my mind that we are winning the global race for talent, but I think we can win it by a wider margin if we continue to pursue smart immigration policies, welcome more newcomers, and ensure that we set them up for success after they arrive.